Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Outsider Season 1, Episode 10. It's called Must Can't. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. So we've been pretty down in this the last couple of episodes. It's been kind of a slow decline for us in terms of interest levels over the course of the season. I don't think there was really anything the finale could have done to kind of satiated that. I mean, maybe like there was basically the best that it could probably go for was like, okay, that was a serviceable finale that didn't feel like it was a giant slap in the face or whatever. But I think at this point we were so out of it that there was never going to be like they really turned it around and gave us this ending that made us feel like, oh, that was all worth the journey. At this point, it was kind of a morbid curiosity for us, and the finale's fine. I think the opening shoutouts, because obviously we ended the cliffhanger last episode was, Jax opens fire, kills Alec, and then the rest are kind of, we don't see what happens. But this episode, it starts off and they're scrambling. It was perfectly well shot. It really felt like they were in kind of a firing zone where they couldn't really move. Eunice gets shot, I think, in the shoulder or whatever at one point, which I predicted would happen, but I thought that would happen at the start of it, like when it cut to black. Yeah, I thought that would have already happened, but that happens to him. There are more deaths. Basically, Howie driving the brother in accomplished very well. Okay, so Claude was there for later. Claude did do something towards the end of the conflict, but Howie and the brother, they really didn't accomplish a whole lot. They both just ended up dying.
Yeah.
Howie, I mean, the only part of the whole show, which I thought was, again, fairly effective, was the only part that bothered me was probably towards the end of it when they did the setup where Holly's insisting they go and get Andy's body because Andy tries to make this great escape so he can go and phone for help because there's no signal out here, and that on its own was fine. Him trying to drive away was
honestly the only thing I have a problem with that is I think that this should have been kind of where we ended the previous episode with Andy, given how we'd built up that stuff in the previous episode, and we'd built up to that. Doing it at the start of this one just felt a little bit strange.
Yeah, well, we said that last week that we expected him to die more so than anyone because it felt like they set that up.
It did, and then the fact that he survived that made me think, okay, maybe he'll live then. To do it just here, in story time, like 5 minutes later, just kind of seems weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't have a problem with him dying this episode, because again, if they're going with this route where like a lot of them, more than half of them die, but at the end of the episode, all we have is Ralph, Holly, Eunice is alive but hit, and Claude obviously is hurt but is also alive. Yes. So that's who we have left. But I thought his little daring escape was fine. I agree that the last episode kind of felt like it was building up to his big last hurrah, and it didn't give us it here. Some people might think that that's a nice little like swerve, or so it's played against expectations. It would have felt more thematically conclusive in the last episode as opposed to this one, but I don't think it's a huge problem because it is still. I mean, it's a serialized story; it's still there.
It's not a huge deal. It felt a little bit odd in terms of just the timing of it, I think.
But the part that kind of bothered me was the part after that. Like, his little escape, and I liked how it was shot as well. I liked how we didn't really see if he got hit. We just saw the car start to roll forward, and then we sort of just see from a distance. It's kind of obscured, but you see his body kind of hanging out the window.
Yeah, there's a lot of it you're seeing through the scope view, and kind of just not really seeing him, just a glimpse here or there behind a tree, maybe. Yeah,
so I thought that was well shot. I thought this stuff was pretty well shot. The frustrating part was Holly, and I get why Holly's insisting of trying to go and get him, thinking he might not be completely dead. Like, we have to go rescue him or whatever, and how he goes. But I don't know, it would have frustrated me if the car just exploded with no setup. But at the same time, it did make the whole thing kind of frustrating where I was like, how he's running up to get the body, which, I mean, it looked pretty dead, so it felt kind of futile.
It felt like not the right time. Maybe deal with the shooter first, and then see if he's still alive.
Because Howie gets set on fire. He's right next to the car when it explodes. So I mean that was that. I mean I liked Jack felt suitably kind of psychotic throughout a lot of this, screaming to himself and doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, he was switching between kind of getting off on killing them and then at times being horrified.
Yeah, sort of realised or being aware of what he was doing and kind of, and he comes down and kills himself, and I'm okay with that part because that's very much in line with the the previous victims that we saw of this control, where they had to try and get themselves killed because it was the only way to get out of it and like stop the pain. The standoff he had with the snake, I don't know, I don't know how much I got out of that necessarily, but
it felt kind of random.
He did look pretty rough though when he came down, and like his face was swollen, his hand was swollen. It looked like he'd been in a fight with something that was, well, a snake specifically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that, and that was like the first like probably 15 minutes or so, because the actual conflict with the doppelganger kind of wraps up just over halfway through, and then there's obviously some wrap up, some epilogue stuff, and that kind of thing. The getting to the caves, getting to the doppelganger. I'm kind of 50-50 on the doppelganger stuff itself. On the one hand, it's interesting not revealing the full Claude doppelganger until now, when he's actually ready to talk to them, and him kind of taunting them by him saying, "Oh, the children taste the sweetest," because Holly's demand to know why children. We have this big standoff. It's okay. I was surprised though, because when Claude showed up, when Claude came in with a shotgun, right? I really expected there to be some sort of like doubt after the fact, when the cave in or whatever you want to call it happens, and they sort of run for cover, they come back out, and Claude's hurt and he's sitting there, and part of me was going, yeah, but how do we know this is the real Claude?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm not saying I wanted the whole plot where they leave and it turns out to be him for a cheap twist or whatever, but
just like a scene of them questioning it.
Yeah, just a little bit of doubt, but they never do. So I thought that was a little bit strange in that sense, but the actual Ralph staying behind to bash the doppelganger in the head to make sure he's dead, and ultimately deciding that they have to keep this a secret because no one will believe them, and all. If the whole point of this is to exonerate Terry and the others who have been charged with crimes, they're never going to buy there was a supernatural doppelganger who was behind all this. They have to treat it as, no, there was another suspect, he's still out there.
Yeah, that was a fairly funny moment. I think it was when Ralph was like, "No, we can't just kill him. We need him to exonerate Terry. We need kind of proof." And it was Holly was just like, "Who's Terry?" Just completely forgetting in the moment as to what this was all actually about to start with.
Yeah, that line made me laugh as well.
She's gotten so caught up with just stopping the evil entity thing that it completely forgot that this was about absolving someone.
Yeah, it's always frustrating about the finale is that we have all this stuff after this conflict, and we have them kind of like getting their story straight, and Glory finds out, the lawyer has to come by and kind of like tell her that, oh hey, we're going to open the case again, so I'm going to publicly state that your husband is not charged with the crime anymore necessarily, and we get this big sweet moment, and that stuff's fine. But I think what was frustrating for me is that like the final scene ends with Ralph and Jeannie at their son's grave, and I like the idea of this. I like the sentiment of this being, well, because when he's saying goodbye to Holly like a scene or two before, he has this moment of like sort of terror where he says, what else is out there? Like, I didn't believe in anything, and now this thing proves that there's some things out there. Like, so if that's there, then what else is there? But afterwards, in this scene, he kind of takes it and says, well, the supernatural just proved to exist, and he tells Jeannie about it, when he saw their son, and he knows it wasn't him, and he's right, it wasn't him, it was a projection from the bad guy, but he's like, maybe next time it will be him, maybe there will be a real meeting at some point. He's ready to believe that, if nothing else, that there might be an afterlife. Like, this might have given him enough hope that, hey, maybe there is something after death, and maybe there is a way to see his son again. And it ends in this kind of, kind of sweet moment as you can have about two people like commiserating their lost son.
Yeah, a little bit of acceptance.
Yeah, and like I like that well enough. I think the idea is solid. I wish Ralph's arc felt clearer throughout the show.
Yeah, because at the start we were pretty confident on what this was going to be, and we learning to deal with the loss of the kid, and we kind of got that here. I feel like it lost its way in the back third, maybe a little bit longer than that, maybe 6 or 7, where that just kind of got pushed aside, and now it's just, oh yeah, okay, well, we should probably follow up on that. It feels like it's missing a section.
I feel like there was potential for a big dramatic emotional moment where it hit me as it was hitting him, like just like when his mind changed and when this kind of really hit him. Because I kind of liked him hugging Holly goodbye and said, "Hey, I wouldn't mind teaming up again, maybe for something normal." But but then he gets scared and he says, "Well, what else is out there though?" And it almost felt like it was setting up for a sequel. And there's even a mid-credit sequence that it's not really setting up for a sequel, but you could take it as that if you wanted to. It's just kind of it's that horror movie thing where it goes wink wink. It's not really over. It's never over, kind of thing.
Yeah, I suspect there won't be a sequel.
I don't think so.
I mean, you never know in the TV world.
You never know. I mean, Mendelssohn's not the hugest actor where I can't buy they can get him back for another year. A new contract here to come back for another story.
It's probably only a few months of shooting.
Yeah, so I mean, it's entirely possible, but it felt more to me like just one of those kind of like little things where it's like, hey, it's never really over. There's teasing for more.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Holly sees a vision of Jack in this mid-set credit scene, and then she, as she's watching the news or reading the news, we see in their arm is a scratch, and it's like, well, if the thing's dead, does it matter? But it focuses on it, and we're sort of thinking about it and going, because the vision she has of Jack, like that could easily be like just her natural like ability and stuff like coming in rather than the things in her head.
But then it does make you question. Maybe it is because again, it goes back to that whole thing of, well, can you kill it? And probably not. I don't know. His head was kind of smushed in by a rock, but
it was smushed. But he's a shapeshifter. How did you feel about the effect before he smashed his head in?
When it was changing faces?
Yeah.
I liked the bubbling effect that it kind of had.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminded me of, actually? It reminded me of T-1000 at the end of T2. The way it was kind of going through all of its previous formations before it died.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's what it was giving me flashbacks of.
I thought the actual, the physical effect of it, the quality of the effect was pretty solid.
Yeah, I think that what frustrates me about this show is that there's so many ideas, especially in the back half, where I'm like, I wish this was landing for me. There's a line from Holly as she's leaving Ralph where, like, she's explaining why she was so ready to believe in this thing's existence. Because I think, the doppelganger itself asked her this, why were you so ready to believe that I existed? And she tells this story about how her dad was like an army man, and he would always say, a man knows a man, or something to that effect. Yeah. And she says, well, I guess in my case, an outsider knows an outsider. And, sometimes when they work the title of a movie or a show into the dialogue, sometimes it sticks out. I actually think this line worked because they hadn't used it all season, because it was just here, it worked.
Yeah, I think if this had been earlier, you might have had more of a problem with it. But I think, doing it at the kind of one of the last moments of the show, it kind of lands in its point there.
And it has a double meaning because it's like, well, was the title of the show about the shapeshifter or about her? Like, was it more about her coming into, like, she's the one who's ready to believe and save everyone because she's willing to believe it. So I appreciated that, and I think it works well. I wish it landed for me even better. I wish I cared about the fact that she goes to Andy's funeral. I wish I cared about some of these other things. As it is, I don't particularly, and it's not like the other characters get much sort of fanfare either. Once they leave and they go to like give their stories to the local police. We never really hear about Alec again, or Howie, or any other characters who fell.
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it just kind of leaves it there. So, it's not
the worst episode. It's fine.
It's better than the last few. It was definitely not as dull as the last few. But it suffers from, it's a serialized story, so it suffers from, if we're worn down over the past few, then this one, like, it was too late to really win us back. And even though it was better in the last couple, it didn't, go above that.
I suspect if you were enjoying the show and have been, like, really on board, you probably enjoyed this a fair amount. I think it does enough that you go, yeah, this is kind of what you'd want for an ending for the most part. There's nothing that betrays any of the core ideas. Nitpicks aside, like we've said, like, the snake stuff and some of the timings of the deaths at the start, perhaps. But overall, it hits all the beats that it has to hit. I don't think it goes above and beyond, though.
The direction was solid as well. I thought the direction this was better than it maybe been a little bit. Admittedly, the direction in this show has been kind of up and down because I wasn't really into the direction of the first couple episodes, which were the better episodes of the show, admittedly, for writing. But there's good direction in the couple episodes after that. The last few felt a little bit more kind of like it was just going through the motions. This episode, it felt like, and I don't know if it's just because stuff was happening. The shootout at the start, the last like 10-15 minutes, like that is easily the most exciting thing they've had to shoot, no pun intended, in several episodes, because it wasn't just people in a room talking to each other and denying that something exists. Stuff was finally evolving and changing and moving and doing different things.
Yeah, it was pretty dynamic, is the word I think I'd use to describe the direction of it.
Yeah, but something we were kind of saying back as early as episode 4. But yeah, if this had been cut down to like 5 or 6 episodes, I think it might have had a chance. With its current kind of quality, is there a version of this at 10 episodes that I think is compelling? I think so. I think you make it more about the personal journey. I think the sad part is that it wants us to really care about like Ralph's arc and stuff, but I feel like it actually kind of glossed over that at various points in the show to just be about the case.
Yeah, I think it lost sight of that. I don't know if this is a point of they didn't have enough content for Ralph's arc personally, so they're like, well, we need to do other stuff to fill the time, and then we'll get back to that, or if they just didn't have the beats nailed down correctly, because I feel like we did skip over some pretty hefty stuff for his arc towards the back third.
Yeah, some of it felt a little bit sudden for sure. So I mean, that was basically it. I don't have much more to add. It was an okay episode. If you had been enjoying the show up until this point, you probably did get more out of this finale than we did. But yeah, mostly I'm glad it's done. I'm glad that I can cross it off the list and
can get on to watching something better on Monday nights.
Yes. In fact, Westworld season 3 is what's replacing this, so I'm all in.
Yep.
All in.
If that gets as disappointing as this, then we've got problems.
I watched the trailer. I think we're good.
I've seen everyone say, people who've seen some early stuff are like, it's like a whole new show. Like legitimately, it's like the first episode of a show again. I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So you can let us know what you thought of the final episode of The Outsider and the season as a whole in the comments. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. You can get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv and give us as little as $1 per month, and that'll help keep all the content coming. You get some bonuses for your trouble, and obviously there's more stuff at the $5 and upper tiers, so go and have a look and see if you're interested. But yeah, check out all the TV stuff that we are doing. Star Trek Picard still ongoing. I've been doing that with Tara. We of course are doing Better Call Saul right now. We are just about to start Devs. We're a little bit late on that due to weird scheduling things in the last few days, but Devs is something we're giving a go as well. And then we're not too far away from a couple other things soon, I'm sure.
We've got Kingdom Season 2 from Netflix starting on Friday.
Is that this week? Oh shit.
That's this week, yeah.
Oh well, okay. We got more zombie Korean episodes to sink our teeth into.
We quite like the first season of that, so
we did. Yeah, it was only 6 episodes, so if you want to catch up on Kingdom from Netflix, go check it out. I felt that we expected that to be quite quick because it was only 6 episodes, and then it's still been like
the usual,
15,
18 months, whatever it's been.
So yeah, so thank you very much once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?